Hey guys, how's it going? This is Natenator. The candle's flame wisped like a coiled snake ready to strike, a distortion in the air. I noticed a slow increase of pressure in the air, half hidden by the stuffiness and scent of dead candles. I buried my head into the pillow, hoping that putting my hands into the cool underside would get me relaxed enough to doze off. It didn't work, my eyes as wide open as ever. With my nose pressed deep into my pillowcase, my heart started pounding when the slightest amount of weight fell by my feet. I froze, pretending that I was asleep, that I was part of the bed itself, and my body was just a folding in the thick sheets. Someone was on the bed with me, and there was nobody else that was supposed to be home. I hadn't had a cat since I was 10, and whoever was here with me had the chilling presence of a winter's draft. The bed creaked softly, my visitor leaning forward. The sound of a girl crying softly was amplified in the quiet of my enclosed room, the sound coming from the end of the bed. I couldn't do it. She sounded distant for being so close, like she was speaking from behind the walls. I couldn't go on. I didn't know why my brain presumed the most unlikely solution to what was happening, but then again, maybe having someone suddenly appear out of thin air fueled the idea that what I did in the cemetery had actually worked. Lenore Wu? Is that you? She didn't answer, too occupied with crying her eyes out. Sitting up, I could see the back of her head, long black hair draped over a shoulder. The white nightgown she wore glowed in the dim light. Her skin hinted with a lifeless blue. Empathy tugged at my heart. I've been at that point where crying was the last resort, the last thing your body would allow. No matter how much I tried to stay calm, I was shaking like crazy, frightened of what was on the other side of that flowing curtain of hair. I cleared my throat, talking to her like she was a helpless child. What is it? Why are you crying? What could I do to help? Bring her back to life, like we're in some crappy teen movie about Greek demigods? She came back, and she came back through me. So something could be done. A wrong done right. I had no idea what she had in store for me, but even before she opened her mouth, I was willing to do anything. Mostly to get her the hell away from me, and also kinda because I wanted to prove to myself that I could do something good for once. But still, I wasn't willing to run away from such a thing. I couldn't do it, she said in the tiniest voice, as if she was on the other side of a wall instead of a few inches away. I couldn't go on with it. I thought about putting a hand on her shoulder, but I didn't dare to touch her. I had no idea what she was planning. If she was going to attack me, or turn around and show me some kind of gaping hole for a face, my mind was almost more focused on the things she could do to me than what she was actually doing, sitting there like a girl who was dumped on prom night. I held my knees in, hugging myself to get a grip on the current matter. I probably would have waited until morning to go to the nearest nut house. Go on with what? I asked, resting my cheek on my knee. My body was to the point of being unresponsive, but I myself was wide awake and at full attention. Nobody wants to listen to me, she said pitifully. Nobody cared. I care. No, you don't. Try me. She started to turn around, making me flinch back from the thoughts in my head running wild. And when I saw her face, I was relieved to see the face of a pretty Asian girl, her hair covering one eye. Her lips were a dark blue, and her eye was pure red, but strangely, I wasn't afraid anymore. Crawling over to sit beside her at the foot of the bed, I slowly tried to touch her bare shoulder. It was a block of ice, but I kept my hand on her skin, having it warm up with my body heat. She seemed to steady her breathing when I got closer, finally able to talk normal. You really want to listen to me? Of course. I'm sure there's a lot to say about how you know. Lenore looked at her hands and guided them up to her eyes, holding them shut. My parents wanted me to be something, to be someone. They came from China, thinking it would be better here. Right after high school, they wanted me to go to college. I need money to go to college, so I had to get a job. I was in a good college. I had the job. Everything seemed so good. Sounds good, I agreed. So what happened then? I couldn't sleep. I had to pay for my tuition, even after the financial aid. Working and studying in classes, I barely had any time to sleep. Sometimes I would lie in bed and keep myself awake because I was afraid that I was going to miss class. Halfway through, I lost my job. Then I started failing classes. All I had in my mind was the debt I had, the credit cards I had to use and couldn't pay. I had to leave college with less than what I started with. That sounds awful, I said, after a few seconds of staring at my dresser. It was all I could think of saying. For as little as it mattered, I knew exactly where the story was going from there. But I allowed her to continue. She raised her head up, shaking again. Her hair slowly started getting wet, and her skin started to dampen, nearly having my hand slip right off. I held her closer, not caring about getting my clothes wet from the water gradually pouring out of her, like she was melting. I knew the setup. I knew the state of mind it puts a girl in, and I knew all she wanted was a hug at the least. With a quivering hand, she grabbed my arm, trying her best to hug back. I borrowed money from a friend, she continued hesitantly. I told her I would pay her back when I could. I bought a bottle of sleeping pills and walked all the way to the beach outside of town. One by one, I sat there at the pier, swallowing one pill after another, thinking of all the things I wasn't going to be able to do. The last thing I remember was falling headfirst into the water and falling asleep at the same time. and I never woke up after. I held her by the shoulders, looking her in the eye. Lenore, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to go all the way like that. Why didn't you just tell that friend you borrowed money from? She was a friend of yours. She would have listened to you. She would have gotten help. How could she? I had nothing. I had less than nothing. I wasted entire years for nothing. I had more debt than I could ever pay back. I don't even know if I could have called anyone a friend. I barely talked to anyone. I never sat down and talked to anyone about anything. Just study, work, study, work. I just want someone to say I wasn't a total failure. I just want someone to say it wasn't all for nothing. Lenore, you're not a failure. I may be, but you are not. You got to go to a good college. You even got a job. Half of the world couldn't say the same. The only thing you did wrong was give up. But nobody could ever say you didn't succeed. You almost had what you wanted. You almost made your parents proud. But you blew it. Not by failing the classes, but by ending your life the way you did. If you had a second chance, I'm pretty sure you would have just gone back home and tried to give it another go. The face she made was like she had inherited a fortune. A face so grateful, it nearly glowed in a heavenly light. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you so much. Now I can go on, knowing that there was a chance that I didn't take. This whole time, I thought there was no other way. Now I can rest in peace, thanks to you." "No problem," I said, a bit too casual thinking back to it. "Anytime. I mean, I'm sure this is the last time I'll see of you. I kinda wish we were friends in real life. I'm pretty sure we could have gotten along." She smiled, looking more like an adorable child than a 20-year-old spectre. "Me too, although you kind of seem like a weirdo." I hacked out a laugh. "Don't push it." "I shall reward you for your sympathy and kindness. A gift from me to you." I was shocked. Everything was exactly how Gerard said it would be. My body flashed with an electric jolt of joy. I would have jumped and squealed if my legs weren't like two wet noodles. Thank you. I don't really know what I want, though. Nothing I would want to waste a gift like this on, at least." She pulled me down and tucked me under the covers, keeping her contagious smile. "You know what you want, and you'll get it. Goodbye, Helena. See you on the other side." Lenore walked out of the room and closed the door behind her. Instantly, I woke up, not even remembering when I had fallen asleep. My room was covered in the gentle glow of the morning sun. It was earlier than when I usually woke up. Most of the time I would look at my alarm clock and jump out of bed for being late. This time, I saw I still had plenty of time to get ready and actually get a chance to eat breakfast, something I usually had to skip. There was an unusual peacefulness in the air, like every worry in the world was erased from existence. But school would fix that. High school had the supernatural ability to ruin anything good. I couldn't understand what had happened, and all of my class time was used up by endless wonder about the previous night. Did it actually happen? Did I really talk to a dead girl? Even laugh with her? Why the hell did she tuck me into bed? That was frickin' weird. Lunchtime came, and I still hadn't done anything in class. That would have alarmed me if I actually did classwork before. What had me worrying was that there were two things that could have happened. Gerard's urban legend was true, and I talked to a girl who had committed suicide, or I had one of the strangest dreams and needed to cut down on the spicy food. Either way, no matter what I determined, the scene kept playing back in my head over and over. Through the hallway, I wasn't paying attention to anything in front of me, just mindlessly walking like a zombie. Gerard passed right by me, and I didn't notice until he called out to me. "Hey, Helena, you in a hurry somewhere?" His voice snapped me awake from whatever trance I was in. The last thing I had in my head was Lenore saying, "You'll get it."